Welcome to Best in Class. My name is AJ Madden. I'm here with an outstanding guest today, Mark Sherwin. He was the former general manager of the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Tysons Corner, Virginia, regional vice president of sales and marketing with Ritz-Carlton, vice president of sales products and promotions with Marriott International, vice president of sales strategy at Marriott International, and executive vice president of operations at Sonesta International Hotels. He has a bachelor's of science in hotel administration from Cornell University and a master of business administration in international finance from Georgia State University. Mark was a certified speaker for the Ritz-Carlton Leadership Center, specializing in guest experience and delivering superior customer service. He is currently the owner of Sherwin Hospitality Advisors and also ameriCARE Nova, whose caregivers help seniors, veterans, those recovering from surgery, and individuals managing chronic illness thrive in the comfort of their own home. Mark brings over 30 years of experience in hospitality. Mark, welcome to Best in Class.
Thanks, AJ. Thanks for the nice intro. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. There was even more. I had to shrink it down. You've had a really, really incredible career, and I can't wait to jump into some questions on what it took for you to become best in class, to get to the top of a very competitive industry. And also your experience at Ritz-Carlton, which I believe is one of the most impressive organizations in the country. I put it on a short list of best in class. There's very few, and you'll be able to speak on it much better than I can. Are you ready to jump into some questions?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, please excuse a little bit of skin damage on my face, going through a little bit of a procedure there, but everything's going to be good.
Okay. I wish you the best, Mark. I wish you the best.
Thank you.
What are three key mindsets that have helped you to become best in class at what you do?
Yeah, I think, you wake up every day excited about what you do. I think passion is first and foremost a mindset that, you're going to be passionate and positive about how you approach life, how you approach what you're doing, how you approach, your business, your professional, your personal. I think that mindset of being positive and looking for the silver linings is one that's going to basically carry over into all aspects of your life. I do think that one of the things that I learned from my time at the Marriott Corporation was success is never final. Though you need to take time to celebrate those successes and to have, small wins on the way to big wins, it's really about the journey, not necessarily the destination. And so really having the mindset that success is never final. It's just a function of accomplishment of targets and small goals and objectives and things that you're either striving for or focused on, and approaching them in a passionate, positive way.
Oh, there's so much to unpack there. And like you said, that applies not only professionally, but personally as well. There's so much overlap in what you gave there in terms of the mindset that it takes to become best in class. We could easily apply it to our personal life, or to be a parent or a teacher, or in our business or in leadership. It's all very applicable. Now, in terms of getting to the top of your field, which you absolutely did, can you talk about the mindset in terms of thinking big and not putting limits on yourself in terms of what you could accomplish in your career?
Yeah, I think there's a combination of both having a focus and a mindset on what the future goal is, but then enjoying the process of getting there. I think making sure that you have a set of good mentors that can help you along the way. Most of us coming right out of, whether it's high school, college, wherever, the services, many of us have no idea, where life is going to take us. And those of us who did have an indication earlier on, probably were assisted by a mentor who can help us understand where our interests lie, what we're good at, what excites us about getting up every day, every morning. I think one of the mindsets as I progressed in my career is also making sure you don't fall into the trap of thinking you're the smartest one in the room, or even trying to be the smartest one in the room. As a leader of people, you want to make sure that you are creating that environment that they can be the best of themselves, and surrounding yourself with outstanding talent. And those that are driven. I've always talked about and have worked for organizations that seek excellence every day. And excellence in the hospitality business happens at every level of the industry. And so I remember when I joined Marriott, we had one brand called Marriott. Now Marriott has 31 different brands. And every one of them are excellent within their own strata. And excellence really is defined as meeting the standards or exceeding the standards that were set for it. Also a definition of quality. And so whether you're a Fairfield Inn that might be, a moderate tier hotel or economy level hotel, or whether you're at the Ritz-Carlton, appealing to luxury customers, striving for excellence within that category really is the mindset that you want everybody who you surround yourself with to carry forward. Now, to do that takes a whole series of processes and procedures and environments and quite frankly, foundational elements that create that environment to have people want to drive for excellence and strive for success. So, that's that. I think that the mindset, though, as you asked initially, the mindset of surrounding yourself with good people, making sure that you are in a learn every day mentality, and then seeking excellence, driving for excellence, seeking quality, are the key attributes that have served me well over the years.
One thing that comes up over and over again when I talk to those who are best in class at what they do is mentorship, as you mentioned. And I've yet to find someone, whether it's in sport, business, politics, the military, whatever discipline, that didn't have a parenting, a best in class, a great mentor. Can you give some tips on how to find a great mentor and how to learn from a mentor?
Yeah, it is critical because so often, we don't know what we don't know. And we need to rely on others to help guide us and to help enable us to have the types of experiences that we're going to learn from. I think, finding a mentor is making sure you put yourself out there, whether it's at work, whether it's in the community, whether it's, at home. It's number one, identifying those things that you either aspire to or that you truly hold in high esteem and have high value of. And then looking for those individuals that emulate that and show those types of values. Quite frankly, most people would be enamored with someone that wanted them to mentor them. And it's also a two-way street. I think certainly as a mentor, you are giving of yourself, of your time, of your expertise, of your knowledge, but you also gain a lot back in return. And that's sometimes where it's up to the mentee to make sure that they're engaged, they're present, they stay involved, ask great questions, and also are committed to that relationship. Where you find a great mentor, I think it's just having your radar on and antenna up. It could come at any level, any step. It's also looking for someone that you have a connection with, and it may be over that shared passion about a particular subject. It may be someone who you can volunteer or support in some way and get close to, and then have the opportunity to build a relationship. But but ultimately it's finding somebody that carries themselves with the type of values that you want to emulate, and then building that relationship and hopefully having them accept and have a willing approach to be a mentor for you.
Mm. And what you just gave there can be absolutely life-changing advice. How to find a mentor, how to be a great mentee, what to look for in a mentor. This is, I mean, this can be a real game changer again, in what anyone who's listening, whatever they want to become better at or excel at, whether again, it's in business or leadership or being a parent or a doctor, a plumber, a lawyer, a teacher, it doesn't matter, a gardener, a basketball player. It's that formula, that blueprint that you just laid out is very, very valuable. So I challenge everyone to rewind that one, listen to that again, and because that'll change your life, as well as the mindset you talked about. And you used the word excellence so many times, which we'll get to here. Our definition of best in class is a 100% commitment to excellence and service in everything you do. And, I got to see you in action in the hotel you ran, and that's how we met. I stayed at the Ritz-Carlton in Tysons Corner, where you were the general manager. And I reached out to you via email and just asked for 15 minutes of your time, just to learn from you. Because anyone who could run something like this, I will learn something a lot. And you took the time out of your day. You gave me actually half an hour of your time, which I really appreciate. I took some great notes, and it was very inspiring conversation. It was very inspiring also to just experience your hotel and how it runs, how on such a large scale, and it ran like a Swiss watch in terms of excellence. You really have to go experience it for yourself. I can't describe it. You have to go and experience the Ritz-Carlton Tysons Corner or Ritz-Carlton just to understand the level of excellence and service that they provide there. And you also gave me one of these cards when I was there, which I still have. And this is something that all the team members carry with them. You also talked about the daily lineup. And I think the combination of this and the daily lineup, like you were talking about earlier in terms of processes and systems to make things happen, would you be able to share just a little bit about that daily lineup and then what this card is and what it means and how it's so powerful?
Yeah, no, thanks, AJ. I enjoyed the time that you spent with us in Tysons as well. And quite frankly, like with any other organization, it's all about the team. And I don't check in a lot of people. I don't cook a lot of steaks. I don't clean a lot of rooms. It's the ladies and gentlemen, as we call our employees at the Ritz-Carlton, that truly create those experiences for our guests and are committed to driving towards excellence every day. I would say the magic of the Ritz-Carlton is really what you have in your hands. It's called a Credo card. It highlights the 5 gold standards of the Ritz-Carlton. It is the foundational elements of what we do. It starts with the Credo, which really talks about our mission, which is the genuine care and comfort of our guests is our highest mission. And every employee should memorize that and knows that that's what it is. I sometimes paraphrased it and added a few words. Then it's the genuine care and comfort of our guests and our employees is our highest mission, because nothing happens unless you have the great employees. So that's the Credo. You then have our motto, which is ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen. And that is so, defining on so many different levels. Number one, for all of our employees, they know that they are a lady or a gentleman, and that certainly allows them to feel high esteem and self-respect, and to know that they're going to be held to a higher standard. They're part of something very big and very meaningful. And they're serving, ladies and gentlemen, serving because they are service professionals, and ladies and gentlemen are our guests. And so it really kind of puts them on the same level. It's serving professionals. We happen to choose to be in the hospitality business for our professions. And our role is to, create memorable, unique experiences for our guests. And so that motto, ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen, which I think is fairly well known, as a standard within the Ritz-Carlton, really is defining for our foundational elements in many, many different ways. We then have an employee promise, which talks about what the company's promise is to its employees. And a lot of it's built on trust, honesty, respect, integrity, and commitment. And it's interesting because, I haven't worked for Ritz-Carlton in 12 years. But I can remember those 5 elements: trust, honesty, respect, integrity, and commitment, because it's how we developed our relationships with our employees. It's our commitment to them, and it's in turn what we expected from them. We then have the what we call the 12 service values, which are really all about our commitment to providing experiences to our guests. And it used to be the 20 basics back in the day. And we used to tell people exactly what to do. You will answer the phone on 3 rings. You will not point directions. You will escort the guest. But we realized that as times changed, you don't need to be that specific. If we're hiring the people and we're giving them the appropriate training in the right environment, then we just need to define the outcomes, and they can figure it out themselves. So the service values really are all about outcomes, and it's you will provide unique, personal, and memorable experiences for our guests, things of that nature. I am proud of my professional appearance, language, and behavior is another service value. We used to tell them, you will say things like my pleasure and certainly and good morning and good afternoon. Now we just tell them you'll use professional language, because we don't want our or Ritz-Carlton doesn't want their employees to be a bunch of robots. We want the personality to come out, but we want it to be in a professional way. So those are 4 of the elements. And the last is really the structure behind service engagements. It's the 3 steps of service. It's the warm welcome, the anticipation and fulfillment of needs, and then the fond farewell. And that defines, those 3 steps of service define all interactions, whether you're meeting somebody on an elevator or whether you're doing a sales pitch to a CEO of a local corporation. So I would say to you that what I took away from all of the training and environment and culture that I was part of within Marriott and Ritz-Carlton is making sure that you have a system and the foundational elements that articulate your values in a way that's meaningful to your employees and is outcome driven. And frankly, when I took over at the Sonesta International Hotel Corporation, we had bought out a very small company, only had 3 hotels. We grew it to 266 hotels. And a lot of it was based on, again, building the culture that existed, which they had a strong culture. It just, at that time had shrunk in size, but being really able to expand it into some very specific guiding principles which was number 1, do the right thing, and basically drive for excellence, drive for quality.
I see. And you said the magic is in this blue card, and what makes us, and everything, when I read this and then you go and experience it, I went and experienced it. That is the magic. It really is. It's not just a blue card. It's
no,
reality.
It's not. And it's not just words on a piece of paper, and then it's brought to life in all of the rituals that you, one of which you mentioned, the daily stand-up or lineup, which every department partakes in every day. And they talk about, it's all about communication. They talk about, what's the hotel doing, what are occupancies, who are the VIP arrivals, what meetings are happening in the hotel. We always talk about one of our gold standards, one of the 5 elements of the gold standards that I just talked about. And then we share a wow story. We share a wow story that happened either at our hotel or at a sister hotel from around the world. And that ritual of sharing wow stories, number 1, it recognizes people for outstanding work. Number 2, it motivates us to say, hey, how can we do something that is captured as a wow story? And then number 3, it kind of sets the bar. And it I think creates incentive and motivation for people to reach that level of service that it could be highlighted and mentioned across the entire company. All 125,000 employees know about that every day when they read about the wow story. Very powerful.
Oh, I believe it. I mean, again, you can feel it when you go there. I listen to you talk and I think, yes, this is not just, again, a blue card or a lineup. This is, it happens every day there. And it's a cocktail, a combination of all these things together with the special people that work there, that really makes something magic and something special. I can't overstate it. I'm not being paid by Ritz-Carlton to say this. I can't overstate that there's something magic. Now, another thing that's very interesting that some people may not know is the ability for the staff to spend up to $2,000 to make something right. Correct?
That is true. That is true. It's one of the foundational elements. It's the service value of empowerment, and we empower our ladies and gentlemen to do things to achieve the end result. And one of which is, as you said, they're empowered to really spend whatever they need to spend to take care of the guests. What typically happens is they don't spend anywhere near the money that we've empowered them to spend, because they're really more committed to taking care of the guest in a meaningful way. And quite frankly, a guest that's paying $500, $600, $700 a night to stay in a hotel, it's really not about the money. It's about the experience that they came to receive. And it's about being treated as an individual and having that and being heard. So we certainly train on, driving that level of empathy, and being able to both satisfy and exceed the expectations of our guests, but when not, how to recover from that as well.
Mm. Can you talk about, again, to get to the level you were at, there's a few key skill sets you have to have. One is time management. Again, to run an operation that size with that many employees and that many guests, like a Swiss watch, as general manager of Ritz-Carlton, your time management has to be impeccable. Can you give us some time management tips on how you manage your time so well?
Yeah, I mean, thank you, AJ. I appreciate again your comments. I think a lot of being a leader is getting work done through people, right? And so, you set the vision, you set the expectations, you identify what the key metrics which define success, so everybody knows what the target is. And then once you know what the target is, and everybody has their own responsibilities, what I have found that becomes very time efficient for me is sitting down with each of my leaders and going through a prioritization exercise. And I call them the big rocks. It's really, I steal them from Stephen Covey. But how do you make sure you focus on the big rocks and not get lost in the whirlwind and the gravel that comes at all of us, especially in a hotel, which has literally thousands of interactions and transactions every day. But if you stay focused just on the interactions and the transactions as a leader, as a strategic leader, then you're not going to get to the big strategic initiatives. And those are the things that are really, really important, but not so urgent. If I don't do strategic planning in a given day, nobody's, the hotel's still going to run. Guests are still going to get taken care of. Steaks are still going to get cooked. Rooms are still going to get cleaned. But will it impact my long-term success? I believe it will. And so making sure that my leaders can identify their 4 or 5 big rocks, their priorities that are going to move the needle against the expectations, the goals that we set as a team, and that we defined as the metrics that define success. To me, that allows me to then focus on how can I help you within your prioritized activities. And I'm being very proactive instead of reactive. So you asked, what are some of the key elements of time management? For me, it's prioritization. Make sure you're focusing on the right thing. I think being proactive versus reactive, making sure you schedule your time for the things that you need to have done, because if you just say, okay, I'll get to it at the end of the day, well, guess what? At the end of the day, number one, the end of the day in the hotel business never comes, or 24/7. And number two, there's a million other things that get thrown at you. And so you need to schedule to make sure that you focus on the things that are going to have the biggest impact ultimately to move the needle. So those are two key things that have served me well.
Mm. Thank you for that. There's a lot of outstanding tips there. Again, we could apply them personally and professionally in terms of, the big ones, like you said, the big rocks, setting priorities, scheduling appropriately, again, personally and professionally. And this is what it takes. And what you're giving people is the advanced fundamentals, the basics that get overlooked, but John Wooden said, champions are brilliant at the basics. And what you're giving us here is the basics, but to get to the top of your field, like you have and others that we have on the show, you have to be brilliant at the basics. You can never get bored with the basics. You've got to stick with the basics of prioritization, scheduling the most important things. Now, in terms of people management, can you give us some tips? I watched you, I ran into you a few times at the hotel, and every time I think you were coaching a team member. It looked like you were coaching and boosting a team member in some way. So I imagine that's a big part of your leadership and management philosophy. But can you give us some leadership tips? Because I know they'll apply to all aspects, whether you're a parent, a coach, a teacher, a manager. What are some most important aspects of leadership that we could learn from you?
Yeah, thank you. It's funny. Actually, I learned this from a general manager that worked for me at Sonesta. When I walked into his office, on his door, he had his name and his title, but his title didn't say general manager. It said head coach. And his perspective was, I'm here to mentor and coach this team. And just like a sports head coach, he has to attract the right talent. He has to provide them with the tools and the skill sets to be successful. He has to make sure that he places them in the right role, and that they understand that role. And then he has to inspire them. People always say, how do you motivate people? Well, motivation is self-driven. Yeah, I can't motivate an individual. Somebody has to be inspired to motivate themselves. And so from a leadership perspective, I think that's one of the most important things that you can do. I would say from tidbits of hints, I would say number one is personalized relationships. Getting to know the person as an individual, understanding what makes them tick, understanding what they like or dislike. I will tell you, on day one of orientation at Ritz-Carlton, when we share the 5 elements of the gold standards, and we go around and introduce ourselves to everyone who's coming on board, and we ask them what their favorite food or drink is and why, and they share a little personal thing about them. Day 2 of orientation, when they come back and sit down at their desk, whatever they told us was their favorite food or drink is sitting at their place setting. And so that element of personalization creates such a level of engagement and commitment and wow that it's hard to sit in a room for 2 days if you're a high energy bartender or somebody who's used to being on their feet, and we're asking you to sit in a room for 2 days and learn about us, and then learn about some of the training aspects of your role. So being able to engage them in that way is really important. So number one, personalized service. Number 2, inspire innovation. So inspire creativity. I say a lot that if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying hard enough. And because you never get something right the first time. I mean, you bat 300 in baseball, you make the Hall of Fame. And that's getting a hit 1 out of 3 times, not even 3 out of 10 times. And so you have to make mistakes. And so to do that, you have to support and elevate and inspire innovation and creativity, so people are inspired to try new things. When they do, we need to celebrate successes, small successes, big successes. I come from an organization that has a 30-day mentality. It's okay, what did your P&L statement say this past month? What did your guest scores say this past month? And then you flip the calendar, you're on to the next month. Success is never final. However, you have to celebrate your successes. Otherwise, you get lost in the fact that you've truly accomplished something on this journey that you're on. And then, I think cultivating a an environment of excellence and quality. People really understanding what that is, what defines it, and then how do they get there? So investing in your people, whether it's through training, whether it's through empowerment, whether it's through celebration, recognition, but really investing in your team members is a critical aspect of building your team and driving towards success as well. So those are a few things that I make sure that I'm doing as a leader to make sure that my team is focused on both having fun and driving for results.
Oh, there's several things that I can apply tomorrow. I'd like to apply tomorrow to leadership and relationships there. And I can see as you speak, I'm hearing how this applies again to parenting, to being a great manager, to being a coach of a sports team, to being, a doctor in the ER who heads an ER, all these different areas. All those things that you said there are so universal and so important. Can you define in a sentence or two excellence? How do you define excellence, or a few sentences, however you want to define it? What's your definition of excellence?
I mean, I guess book dictionary wise, excellence is, exceeding expectations, going beyond the standard or expected result. Excellence is, as you say, being best in class, being at the top of your game, and doing things in a way that exceed the standards that you've set for them. I think it's doing them with integrity. I think it's doing them because it's the right thing to do. I think it's exceeding the desired outcomes. And I think it's also, making commitments along the way to the people to the stakeholders that you work with and for. I think overall, just, to sum it up, exceeding expectations would probably be the best way to put it.
And as you were defining excellence, it's a 3-4 dimensional look at it. You hit it from every, possible angle. And that was brilliant. Thank you for that. That gets me excited. Just listen to you talk about it. How about service? Can you define service? How do you define service?
Yeah, service is basically providing something to a person before they knew they even wanted it. I think it's the anticipation of someone's needs, and then being proactive and over delivering on it. Quite frankly, it's also reading the room. You might have two people dining together next to another couple dining together, both wanting outstanding service. One couple is there, the male is maybe nervous, he's about to propose, and the other couple have been married for 40 years and they may have different ideas of what excellent service looks like in that moment for themselves. And so again, it's the anticipation of what the individual is looking for. It's personalizing that level of interactions. It's making sure that it's both unique and memorable. And it happens at all tiers, right? I mean, you could have an outstanding service experience going through the drive-through window at a fast food restaurant. You could have an outstanding service experience at a 3-star Michelin restaurant. And so it's really, again, anticipating what the customer guest expectations are, being anticipatory in how you deliver that, and really creating a unique experience.
That was the way you tied that up there at the end, in terms of it could be, you could apply this definition of service that you gave us to a drive-through or a 3-star restaurant. It's the principles, it's the thoughts and the love and the energy behind it that matters.
That's right. And the personalization can't, it's like when Norm walks into Cheers bar, and everybody knows his name. I mean, that level of care and comfort is irreplaceable. You can't put a price on that.
I appreciate both those definitions. Spoken like a true expert, who's lived this his whole life, and and got to the top of the field in a company that is 100% committed to excellence and service in everything they do. And again, that's our definition of best in class, that 100% commitment to excellence and service in everything. And it's an honor to have a true expert, in this field to give us those definitions. Mark, are you ready for rapid fire 10 questions?
I'm ready for rapid fire 4 questions, AJ, because I'm going to have to wrap up here in a moment. But
Okay.
you pick which ones you like.
Okay, here we go. 3 favorite personal development books. Could be biographies, could be personal development, leadership, anything you want. 3 favorite books on personal development.
Yeah, personal development. Let's see. I loved Harvey Mackay, Swim with the Sharks. I love all of Stephen Covey's books, 7 Habits, Highly Effective People, 5 Disciplines of Execution. They do great, does great stuff. I just read a book recently about Andre Agassi. It's called Open. It's his autobiography. And I really enjoyed his being so introspective as to how he became one of the all-time greats in professional tennis, in spite of the fact that as he was growing up, he hated tennis. And it takes you through the journey. And he kind of says that tongue in cheek. He didn't really hate tennis, but he hated the pressure, and he hated, some of the lofty expectations that were placed on him, et cetera, et cetera. But a great read, Open by Andre Agassi.
Oh, excellent. I got several recommendations there. Favorite quote?
2, if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying hard enough. And then from the great philosopher, Mario Andretti, if you're not moving fast enough, let's say if everything is under control, you're not moving fast enough. So if everything's under control, you're not moving fast enough. So it's okay to be a little bit out of control from time to time.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Piece of advice that you'd give your 18-year-old self, or what advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
Take risks. I think I frankly sold myself short earlier on in my career, whether it was self-confidence or whether I thought I had to pay my dues, or I think that you should follow the passion.
Any documentaries or TV shows you'd recommend people to learn, something you learned a lot from? Anything jump out, or a film?
My father died early, so I do love Field of Dreams, just in terms of valuing the relationships with your family, with your, again, kind of following your heart. I thought that was a great story, underlying just a very enjoyable, entertaining film. Last Dance, Michael Jordan, was a great journey of his excellence and surrounding himself with the pieces that allowed him to win his championships, and how really the learnings of how the leader of that group, Phil Jackson, the coach, was able to bring out the best in what was certainly a myriad of personalities when you looked at Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Steve Kerr, and others in that group.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Mark, where can people find you in terms of ameriCARE Nova or Sherwin Hospitality Advisors, or somewhere else where you'd like people to find you online?
Yeah, LinkedIn is the best place. Mark Sherwin highlights all of that. I'm going to leave you with one last movie that I loved, and it also has one of my great quotes. The name of the movie was Miracle on Ice, and it was from Herb Brooks, the coach of the 1980 U.S. men's Olympic hockey team, made up of a bunch of college kids that were going up against the pros from Russia. It wasn't in the finals; it was in the semifinal game, and the Russians were the huge favorite. And he came into the locker room and he said, "I don't care who's on the other side of the ice. This is our time. This is our time." And he inspired those kids to play head and shoulders above what people expected, and they delivered on bringing home the gold. So I will leave that with you, AJ. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the opportunity to share some of my musings. Again, it's mentorship. That's what I do with my hospitality advisory business. I'm the chairperson of the Boys and Girls Club here in Northern Virginia. I spend a lot of time with my healthcare business, giving back to seniors. And so, again, follow your passions and you will always be successful.
Mark, thank you for the master class on excellence and service. Thanks for being who you are. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you. Appreciate the time, AJ. Take care.
Take care, Mark.